You probably know that in America, especially when it comes to the federal government, there is this hard line blocking any dollars from being used to subsidize an abortion, encourage an abortion, literally anything having to do with an abortion, except apparently stopping them, because at least 10 different states have taken a variety of different types of federal welfare funds and routed them into anti-abortion clinics. This is states all over: Indiana, Louisiana, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, Texas, big states, small states, conservative states, and more conservative states. So there's some diversity there. So they've mostly used money from the federal Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program, better known as welfare or direct cash aid. The clinics work to dissuade women from obtaining abortions. So they take money that is literally designed to help families who need food, and they put it to clinics that try to stop women from getting an abortion in the most difficult moments in their life. So they funneled money through, quote, alternatives to abortion programs, part of state budgets established by conservative legislatures and often run through state health departments. They not only send millions in federal welfare funds, but also state taxpayer dollars to such centers. So if you live in one of these states, you are subsidizing them. Missouri is one example of how welfare has withered in this country. Back in 2015, the state passed draconian welfare reforms that imposed a 45-month lifetime limit for cash assistance. So if you fall in hard times, you better hope it never comes again. They have work requirements, sanctions for people who did not comply. They then spent funds in that state, not paid to families, obviously, because they're cut off by this limit. All these alternatives to abortion programs. In just the past 4 years, they've sent $26 million to anti-abortion clinics. The average monthly benefit that you might lose access to is just $256. So Missouri is in such tight budgetary times that they have to limit you for the rest of your life from getting any benefits of this sort. However, they have enough money that they can put them into effectively these like crisis pregnancy centers and all that.
Which is
Jason,
so,
what do you think?
I think it's disgusting, to tell you the truth. I mean, I'm gonna start by saying that I am, people may not agree with me, but I'm pro-choice. As a man, I don't think I have any, and no, hold on. Let me say this accurately. I feel that a woman's body, it's her decision to make a choice what she does with her body. Full stop for me. That's full stop for me. And the fact that, it goes back to John, to what people are, what are they so afraid of when it comes to women's reproductive health, right? Like abortion and those sort of things that these conservative people, I would imagine it's founded in maybe a religious doctrine, a religious background, or religious beliefs that that's something that you shouldn't do as a woman. And people have the right to believe what they want to believe. But when you're taking money from welfare and for people who could really use this to feed their families, and and these funds are going to a positive, very productive place, and funneling them into places that are also that are the antithesis of that, because of what you believe. I don't get that. It's almost as if they say it's what they place the value on, right? If, let's say my friend, we're gonna call her Tracy, says, you know what, Jay, I'm gonna go seek an alternative to my pregnancy, and we know what that is. I'm like, well, Tracy, if that's what you feel you need to do, then go and do that, because you doing that doesn't affect my life. This doesn't have any bearing on my life. And I think a lot of these people get involved in business that's not theirs. So by taking money away from families who need it to, because we feel so strongly about abortion, it's just like, hold on, stop, look at yourself. Like, do you understand? Are you smart? I mean, I don't even know what to say. Like, let's stop a minute. It's just, and again, going back to a woman, these men, and I hate to say these privileged older white boomers, these privileged older white men, right? It's none of your business, dude. It's none of your business. Or let your daughter, let your daughter or your niece, the girl who's turning up at Texas A&M, the girl who's turning up at Mizzou, the girl who's turning up at Penn State, and then all of a sudden maybe she ends up pregnant and is thinking about that alternative as well. What do you say to that? When it hits close to home, then what do you do, right?
They'll always be available when they need it. Mostly for mistresses, possibly daughters too.
It'll
always be there.
It's a not in my own backyard situation since it's never happened to them. They can't walk a mile in someone else's shoes. And again, that's just my stance on it. I am very pro-choice, and I will always be pro-choice because I do not have the right to tell a woman what to do with her body, and I leave it there. But I don't think taking money out of people's mouths who need the money and funneling it into something like this is also the answer. Yeah. And of course, in states like Missouri and like I don't know what, Texas and everywhere.
There's a lot of people who could really use the help.
Right.
In one of a couple different forms, either not instituting things like that lifetime cap, or I don't know, maybe increasing the amount you get per month, because like $230 doesn't really seem that great. And it's not just in Missouri, Texas. Their cap, I think, is $231. Oh, to be eligible, you can't earn more than $231 per month. Okay, but if you have $45 million in federal welfare funds over the past 15 years to put into this stuff, maybe that money could instead go to easing the restrictions a bit. Because somebody who's making $230 a month, or who's making $240 a month, I should say, might still need help. I don't know, seems crazy. It is America though, maybe they could use some help. But it's potentially not gonna be there. And by the way, so this is now making news, that this, sort of summing up of how much money we're talking about over so many different states. Like if there was some big reporting that Drudge put together of like the federal money that's going towards encouraging abortions, it would be the only thing you heard the Republican Party talk about for the next 6 months. States across, Republican-dominated states across the country would pass legislation instantly. It would be Fox News all day long, every day. How could they do this? They're putting money, wasting taxpayer dollars. For this, no.
Right.
You're not gonna hear much from the Democratic Party. There's not gonna be bills. There's not gonna be any like federal legislation to stop them from using this money for something that is definitely not actual welfare programs. They won't, because although there's technically, anti-abortion and more in favor of abortion politicians, one side, the side that the law and morality has favored this entire time, are still really shy about it. They really don't want to talk about it. They certainly don't want to make a big stink about it, because like, oh God, what if we turn off a couple conservatives that would never vote for us anyway? And so, yeah, no, you're not gonna hear much about this. You're not gonna see some big legal or federal regulatory change as a result of this, and people will suffer. Whether it's people who are desperately in need of an abortion, or it's families that I don't know would just like to eat during a difficult time. And by the way, they did this during the pandemic when so many people were losing their jobs.
And John, I mean, again, awesome points, John. And at the end of the day, the people that are making these decisions are so far removed from the everyday experiences of people that are in those situations, right? It always blows my mind how they make people that have power, that are in these power positions, make these decisions. And you stop and think, well, do they ever sit and think, okay, let's, the person I gave a name to earlier, Tracy, how does this impact Tracy's life? Like how if I was Tracy, how would I feel? This is a person, this is a human being, this is someone whose life I would imagine matters in some way, shape, or form. How would me having such a staunch, strong, very aggressive belief and stance on something like abortion or something, I don't know, like LGBTQ rights, how does that impact them? And why don't I care enough to at least have some compassion for these people? That always sits with me. And it really breaks my heart, because these people sit on their Capitol Hills, sit on Capitol Hill in whatever state. They have their Sunday barbecues. They do all these things with their families, and they live this great life. And they're so far removed from the everyday life of people who this is affecting.
Yeah.
And could care less and sleep at night and go home and say, we did a good job today, buddy boy. We did the Lord's work today.
Yeah.
It's
as we let those families go hungry.
Right.
Jesus had a little bit to say about hunger, if I recall, but I'm an atheist, so what do I know?
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.